Did you know that over 90% of people and pets in the United States are mineral deficient? And most of those people and pets that are mineral deficient are extremely deficient in iodine? Have you ever wondered what the best sources of iodine are? And did you know that some of the most popular sources of iodine are actually contaminated with nuclear radiation? You're going to learn a lot about iodine if you tune into this video, so I encourage you to stay tuned, watch this video, and learn a lot while we're here. So welcome everyone today. Ty Bollinger here. I'm joined by my good friend, Dr. Edward Group. And Dr. Group is one of the world's leading experts on iodine. And so I have a bunch of questions for you today, Dr. Group. So let's get rolling on it, shall we?
Yes, we shall. Let's do it.
Now, iodine is something that we hear about, but most people that are watching this video might not even know what iodine is. Is it a mineral?
It's actually the most important mineral that I've found, because we've been able to track since the 1800s and since the introduction of Lugol's solution, which was also introduced in the late 1800s, 1900s, and the Lugol solution was actually one of the most beneficial substances and one of the top selling supplements. It was sold by pharmacies and apothecaries back in the day for everything, whether it was the antibiotic. Tracing the history back on iodine, though, you also realize that there's been a lot of suppression in iodine. There were lots of studies associated with the benefits of iodine, from thyroid conditions to cancer to many other conditions. Pretty much every condition you can imagine is linked some way to iodine. And now
deficiency in iodine?
A deficiency in iodine,
okay.
Because as the Industrial Revolution happened, as pharmaceuticals happened, has the introduction of fluoride, bromide, chloride, and those derivatives have entered our soil, our water, our atmosphere. That has created a severe iodine deficiency in pretty much every single human being right now. So tracing back the history of iodine, now we're realizing how important iodine is, how important iodine is at preventing different conditions, and giving and utilizing iodine for more and more and more health benefits.
Great. So the deficiency of iodine has been linked to a lot of different health conditions. I was reading something about mental retardation even.
So what we're finding over the last 20 or 30 years in the medical research is that most pregnant women are deficient in iodine. The research with iodine started around Ohio and Michigan years ago on the goiter belt. What happened was people were starting to get cysts build up on their thyroid gland, and that's called a goiter. When scientists went in and started to evaluate why these people are growing these goiters, they eventually realized that it was an iodine deficiency. They weren't linking iodine deficiency to cancers and breast problems and reproductive problems and all these other things. They just were linking it to these cysts on the thyroid gland. So what happened was, whenever they determined that the goiters were being formed by a lack of iodine in the system, they started producing iodized salt and started feeding all these people levels of iodine, and the goiters went away.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most frequent places people have seen that root is iodized salt. So
yes,
what is that, sodium with added iodine to it?
It's processed sodium, so it's not even real salt, really. It's the synthetic form of salt, which is sodium chloride, and they add iodine to that. There's different forms of iodine too, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but they found that the goiters went away. So that's kind of the big original story that happened as far as iodine is concerned. And ever since then, more and more research is coming out. Now, doctors have found now that the iodine, the biggest concentration of iodine, is stored in your thyroid gland. The second highest concentration of iodine is stored in women's ovaries. Women have a higher percentage of iodine deficiency than males do because women have breast tissue. Iodine is very, very needed for any type of glandular tissue. So prostate in male, ovaries, pituitary gland, brain, any type of hormone-producing gland requires iodine to function. What we found is why Dr. Brownstein, for example, has tested over 7,000 patients and found that over 96% of them are iodine deficient. So with the introduction, like I said, of fluoride, bromide, which are halogens, if you look at the periodic table under halogens, you're going to see iodine, bromide, fluoride, and chloride, which are derivatives of chlorine, fluorine, bromine. And the medical profession actually realized how effective iodine was at healing multiple conditions a long time ago. So they wanted to take iodine out. For example, antibiotics were coming in to play. Well, there's no money in iodine and you couldn't patent iodine. So what did they do? They wanted to suppress the iodine and introduce all the pharmaceutical antibiotics and all the pharmaceutical thyroid medications and all of those things. So they really put iodine on the back burner. So they know that if people have sufficient levels of iodine inside their body, that all of these different areas that they're treating, from heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all of that is linked to iodine deficiency. Thyroid dysfunction linked to iodine deficiency. Infertility linked to iodine deficiency. Polycystic ovaries, fibrocystic breast disease, because women have more fat and the breast tissue and the reproductive areas in the body hold more iodine. So you can see that it's one of those substances that's necessary for every single thing in the body. And if you look at every single cell which has an iodine receptor, and the iodine comes in like this and fits into the receptor sites, what we found in the scientific research that's found over the last 50, 60 years is that all of our iodine receptor sites are being blocked by either bromide, because when they took the iodine out of breads, it was used in breads, not only to be a good source of iodine, but it was also used in breads as an antimicrobial, so the little bugs wouldn't get in the flour, right? They took the iodine out and they replaced that with bromide powder. So now you have a massive amounts of bromide, which is also being used in all the fire retardants, the PCBs. You have pesticides, bromide, fluoride, chlorine, all of these toxic chemicals that actually fit inside the iodine receptors. We know now that the biggest cause of low IQ and mental retardation is iodine deficiency. When you look at the amount of fluoride, which ends up coming in and calcifying the pineal gland, you look at the amount of the toxic halogens that are being found in breast milk and in anybody's blood, you look at the amount of pesticides, the amount of herbicides that are being found, we know that pretty much every single person on the planet is iodine deficient and needs iodine. Studies have come out now that show iodine is one of the most effective substances in the world for cellular apoptosis with cancer. One of the most effective substances in the world for low energy levels. I mean, how many people do you know that have low energy levels? For adrenal gland repair, for thyroid repair, for brain fog, for infertility. Look at all the infertility clinics that are everywhere and all the problems that people are having with infertility. We know now that 20,000 micrograms of iodine a day increases the urinary excretion of lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, fluoride, bromide, and chlorine.
Wow.
And get this, iodine is the only known adaptogen that will monitor and regulate the pH levels automatically in your body. What I believe in the research that I've been able to harvest regarding iodine, it's something new every single day comes up. There's this link. It's almost like a conspiracy to suppress the knowledge of people when it comes to iodine. And the powers to be in the medical association, in my mind, one of the biggest secrets out there that the medical profession hopes you never ever find out about is iodine. And I think that we're going to see coming into the future a massive attack on iodine products. But don't get me wrong, now I want to make this very, very clear to people. This does not mean you can go to your drugstore and buy iodine off the shelf, the povidone iodine that you put on your wounds.
question on that. So I remember when Fukushima happened, 6 years ago, whatever, literally within a day or two, the potassium iodide was gone across the United States. You couldn't get it because that happened, and people are like, oh, I got to take potassium iodide to fill up my thyroid with iodine, whatever it was, so that I don't get exposed to this radioactive iodine coming from Fukushima. I remember that. So, but if I remember correctly, and we were some of the ones that bought it, I bought it and we started taking it, but it said don't take more than 2 weeks. So there's different types of iodine, what you're saying. Why is it with something like that potassium iodide, you only take for a couple weeks?
Well, because if you look at the iodine molecule in its raw state is a very reactive molecule. Like we use a 99.999% pure organic iodine crystal. If you were to take, and it has to be sealed in an airtight container, if you were to take one little tiny crystal of that iodine and put it out on the table, you would see a purple gas start flowing off of it. It manifests itself as a gas and a solid. As soon as it hits oxygen, it oxidizes into a gas. So in order for you to stabilize an iodine, you have to attach it or stabilize it with a salt. Potassium is a salt. So you take the iodine, and in order to stabilize it so it won't sublimate out, you attach it to a potassium molecule, and then it becomes a potassium iodide. That's not a real good usable form of iodine in the body. It's hard to get into different areas because now you have a potassium molecule and an iodide molecule, and the body has to determine what it wants to do with that. It has to break it. So you might not get that usability aspect of a good form of iodine.
But it's more of an emergency.
It's more of an emergency. It's something that you shouldn't take over a long period of time. It's just a blast of iodide into the body, so your body sucks it up first before it sucks up the radioactive iodine-131. So our research took us even down another path in saying, well, how can we stabilize a monatomic form of iodine? Because what the body needs and what the cells need is a iodine-1 or a monatomic or a nascent form or a reactive form of iodine.
Okay, that's the term that most people will have heard of, nascent iodine. I've seen nascent iodine online. So that's what you're talking about here. It's
nascent, just another word for atomic, which means it has an extra electron that's willing. It's basically like an I1 with a negative electron. So that means it's ready to easily be absorbed into the tissues. It's basically ready to go. I don't know of anything else in the world that can eliminate arsenic and mercury and lead and chlorine and fluoride and bromine besides iodine. And it does it because it has an affinity for it, because it's a very, very close molecule. Number one, those metals are positively charged, but it's also a very close molecule to those other halogens. That's why the body gets confused. And the body says, oh, this must be iodine, and takes in the bromide or takes in the fluoride. So in order for the body to heal itself, in order for the body's self-healing mechanism to become active, in the grand scheme of things, it's really all about simplicity. It's about how clean is your body, because you can link every single disorder, every single disease, every single symptom, if you look at it, is all caused by toxicity. You've got too many metals, too many chemicals, too many pesticides, all coming in through the food that we're eating, the beverages that we're drinking, all of that stuff. That's why it's so important to continually cleanse your body on a regular basis, repair your intestinal tract, which is another big thing. Iodine doesn't disrupt the good bacteria in your bowel either. It attacks the negative or the bad bacteria in your bowel, and it's needed for the production of epithelial tissue, because your bowel and your skin are also endocrine organs. So any endocrine system disrupting chemicals such as estrogen, birth control pills, glyphosate, all of that stuff, all of the things we talk about that are damaging and that are creating havoc in the body, guess what gets rid of all of them? Iodine. So it's about changing the ultimate goal, changing your lifestyle, avoiding all of those toxic chemicals, and supplementing with the good things and cleansing your body, healing your bowel, cleansing the liver, the gallbladder, cleansing out all the chemicals, the harmful organisms, and that's the natural way that your body kicks back in and starts the healing process.
Yeah, and it sounds like iodine it's powerful from multiple different angles. You know, I didn't know all the different ways that it detoxifies, but it also nourishes, right? You said it's necessary to build the epithelial cells. So it's not only nourishing to your body, but it's detoxifying at the same time. See, I mean, it sounds to me, Dr. Group, like anybody that's watching this interview right now should be taking a high quality iodine supplement every day, period.
Not only everybody watching, but everybody in their family and all of their children. I started giving iodine to my children when they were young, and all of a sudden they're straight A students. I mean, talking about boosting your IQ, getting rid of all of your mental fog, boosting your immune system. If you go back and you look, like I was saying earlier, at all the pharmacies and the apothecaries, iodine was the #1 thing that was being sold through legal solution. Everybody was using it for everything and getting better. Now that's way before they had all of these high-tech chemicals and toxins and all the other stuff that's happening today. But now I would honestly say, and I'm not the only one out there saying it, Sherry Tenpenny is really, really big on iodine. So is Dr. Brownstein. These are the leading researchers on iodine out there. They all say that iodine is effective at multiple different things out there. You're losing your hair, you can take iodine and grow your hair back. Everything. You have athlete's foot, you can put your iodine on there. You have a burn, you can put iodine on that. But it has to be the right form to be taken internally. We've had 4-year-old kids that have drank a bottle of the iodine, the nascent iodine, a whole bottle, which would be up in the 1 million micrograms a day level, and that have been fine. Iodine now is associated with attention deficit disorder. It's associated with autism, iodine deficiency. So more and more research is coming out showing that there's a link between iodine deficiency with every single disease out there. Going back to the thyroid issues, there are pets all across the nation right now. So the iodine shouldn't only be used for you and your family, but it should be used for your pets as well, because veterinarians are finding now that pets are severely deficient in iodine because it's not in the food. And people and pets are being put on Synthroid, or they're being put on thyroid or desiccated thyroid. Well, guess what happens if you put someone on desiccated thyroid? It increases your need for iodine 2 to 3-fold. And if you're on thyroid medication and you're not taking a bunch of iodine, your chances of getting cancer go up 30 to 40% because you're on thyroid medication.
So you're talking about the highest quality iodine available today. And by the way, the only organic iodine available today, correct?
The only certified organic iodine available today.
Okay.
Yes. And the highest quality, the highest absorbable, the highest bioavailable, and one that's been out on the market for a long time that has a lot of studies on it, has a lot of research on it, and has a lot of reviews on it that can show you all of the different benefits, high quality benefits that you can have by taking it.
Dr. Group, you're a wealth of information on iodine. I know that the people that are watching this interview today are fascinated and they want to learn more. And by the way, happy 50th. We just turned 50 years old this past weekend, both of us. I'm actually 3 days older than you, so you can call me sir.
Okay, sir. Happy birthday.
But happy birthday, brother. So for those of you that are watching this interview and you want to learn more about this iodine that Dr. Group and I have been talking about, that both of us take every day as well as our families, all you have to do is just click the link below. Thanks for watching. Dr. Group, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, Ty.